Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are. Okay, so ever since I came to Canada, I've been having lots of people come to me to talk about how they want to go to Canada and how I can be of help in the journey. And I have realized that I have been having to repeat myself, and so I thought to do this video for such persons so that when you come to me, I would share you this video, sort of just detailing my own experience, and as well as what you need to do or what you should do in your own journey. So I applied for my visa by myself. I didn't use any agent. I looked for the schools myself, got admission to some, and then got rejected in others. And then I applied for the visa twice. I was denied the first time, and then the second time the visa was approved. It was also a virgin passport. It was the first time I was going to be applying for any kind of visa at all. So I hope that with my experience, you can take learnings therefrom and also use that to guide your own journey. I'm also going to be making a distinction between applying for study permit in Canada versus applying for study permit in the UK, because I also see a lot of people come with um, that sort of mindset that may work for a study permit in the UK but may not necessarily work for Canada. Now, the thing you need to know about immigration is that immigration is sort of a legal framework. So every country have their immigration laws, and it is their immigration laws that guide what the visa officers in each of those countries are looking out for when they are looking at your visa application. So I would just compare my experience so far with Canada visa as well as say the UK visa, and the differences you need to know just to help you to make up your mind which one you should be chasing. So for Canada, there are three things that are important, and I recommend that you think about these three things, maybe more, but I'm just going to be talking about three things today. I recommend that you think about these three things even before you start applying to schools. You're going to be charged between 100 and 150 Canadian dollars per school application, and then you're going to be charged, I think, about $150 again for visa application. So you have to, as much as possible, think about the end of the journey from the beginning. And so what I would recommend is that you think through these three things before you even start your visa application at all. The first one is proof of funds, which we call POF. The second thing is purpose of visit. And the third thing is home ties. So I'll start with proof of funds. Now, for the UK, their immigration law says for you to show, proof of funds, you need to have a certain amount of money, which is usually your tuition plus your living expenses for 1 year, in an account for 31 days, something like that. Now, and I also know that before you even apply for visas for most UK schools, you will have paid an initial deposit and gotten a kind of letter which will aid you to apply for your visa. And so when you pass that stage, what their law requires you to do is to show an amount in your account, and that amount should have been there for at least 30 to 31 days. Now, for Canada, proof of funds is slightly different. Actually, not slightly, very different, in the sense that Canada is not looking at how much you have in your account. That's not what they're looking at. Rather, they are looking at the proof of that funds. So it doesn't help that you have 100 million naira or 50 million naira or 5 million naira in your account. What helps rather is that you are able to show proof of how you saved or accumulated that amount you have in your account. What do I mean? You can show an amount in your account and the visa officer will still deny your visa because they cannot prove that that money is truly yours and they don't have evidence that you would have access to that money when you need that money. So what I then usually recommend, and which is what I did, is that you lay emphasis on the source of the money. So have you been working for some time and be earning salary? Show your pay slips, show your employment letters, show your salary account, and then let it tell a story and let it, look convincing that somebody who has been earning this kind of amount can have this kind of money saved for the purposes of study. So, for example, you've applied to a school and the tuition is 6 million, and then you've worked for maybe 5 years on a salary of 150,000 naira. Even without thinking too much, that visa is likely going to be denied based on proof of funds, because the question on the mind of the visa officer is, you've worked for only 5 years, so 5 times 12, that's 2.4 million, right? Then times 5, that gives you upward of 5-6 million. The question is, how can somebody who is earning 200,000, have access to, let's say, 6 million? Has he been saving all his salaries? Does he not have responsibility? And then when you check the profile, you discover that the person is married, the person has 2 kids or 3 kids. It doesn't add up. So you need to think about that for your proof of funds. And what I usually tell people is, do you have the money? If you don't have the money, you might look at maybe UK or somewhere else. Because if you don't have the money, it becomes difficult to even put together an application that will fly. And my experience with Canada is that 95% of the time, they are accurate at catching people that don't have the money. And this is even because any smell of your inability to access the money would lead to a visa rejection, would lead to a study visa rejection. So what I recommend is that you have the money. If you have the money, then it's then easier to explain how you had gathered the money, and then it's then easier to put together your documentations, right? But if you don't have the money, you're defeated from the beginning, unfortunately. As opposed to the UK, when you can just keep an amount in your account, whether it is your money or your father's money or your friend's money, nobody really cares, right? And then after 31 days, you can print the bank statement and you fulfill the requirement for a UK study permit. But for Canada, it's different. You have to prove the money. Now, one of the things that people also try to do is that, they have that money somehow. Maybe it's really not theirs, but they have that bulk money somehow, and they are looking for ways to explain it, to make it make sense. The thing is with explanation again is, it is your word against what the visa officer is thinking about. So you've written stories. He doesn't have any documentation to prove the authenticity of your story. So he's not obliged to take your stories, right, as the truth. Sometimes you also see lots of people then come up with, I sold my land, I sold my car, and stuff like that. The question again is, they somehow know the legal jurisdiction of many countries. And for countries who, I'm trying to pick my words, for countries where things can be done abysmally, where documents can be gotten without any, there is really no due process, like you can't trust. I'm trying to choose my word, but let me just say it. For Nigeria, where you can get land documents without having a land, right? Where you can get police reports without necessarily showing up at the police station. where you can even get a marriage certificate, right? And that marriage may not exist. So they know some of this information. So it becomes, yeah, you sold your land, but I can't confirm the authenticity of this land document, right? So what I honestly recommend is that work for a while. And if you've been working and you've earned one or two promotions, you have the pay slips to show, you have the salary account and all of that. Now, what I also realize for business people is they say, okay, this I have this business has this money, and the business is going to sponsor me. Now, the way a white man is thinking about a business is different from the way we're thinking about business in Africa. Now, it's not like the definition of business in African context or Western context is different, but it's just the way we've interpreted the definition of business. So a white man sees a business as different from his owner, right? And so you can be even the sole shareholder of a business, right? But that doesn't mean that the money in the business account belongs to you as an individual. So again, is almost certain that you will be denied. Yes, it's your business, quite okay, but the business has its own life. It has its employees. It has responsibilities, office rents to pay, and all. It has its own expenses. So, are you shutting down the business to go to school or what? So, the business resources is different from your own personal resources. And the way a white man will expect, what they would rather expect to see is that, okay, you have a business, you are the CEO, so put yourself on a salary, have an employment letter, for yourself, and then pay yourself a certain salary every month. And then when you need to go and apply for visa, you can pull your salary account for the past 6 months, right, and justify what you have in your personal account as against the business account. So that's also an area that many people, find difficult to wriggle through. Now, I think I have talked largely about proof of funds. I'm going to do another video. This is already 12 minutes, where I don't want to rush this. I want to just go, very detailed. So I'm going to do another video where I'm going to be talking about purpose of visit, and then I'll be talking about home ties. I hope you like this. Thank you. Bye-bye.